Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Glacier Conversations, the first one of 2026, and it couldn't get any bigger than this. I think we might have also almost broken the internet today with Jordan and Logan Lefler, the filmmakers who are about to premiere this coming June 23rd at the Wacholt Center, their movie Journey to the Sun, about our beloved Going to the Sun Road here in Glacier National Park. I'm Doug Mitchell. I have the great privilege of serving as the executive director of the Glacier National Park Conservancy. I'm here tonight with the best team in the business, Amy Lucky, who's going to help us with the chat, Sydney Yarnell, who's going to do our giveaway. We've got some great giveaway items, both from the filmmakers themselves and also from your friends here at the Glacier Conservancy. Andrew Smith and Gracie Regala are going to help us with kind of tech issues, and you may hear from them in the chat. As we try and give you some information that connects you to the movie, that connects you to the store for the movie, and connects you to other tools about the Conservancy as well. So thank you all for joining us, and thank you, Lefler Brothers. You guys are so generous to spend this time with us, and also to offer to allow the Conservancy to host the international opening of your movie on June 23rd here in Kalispell. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you so much,
Yeah,
Doug.
thanks, Doug.
It's good to be here, and we couldn't have pulled off a premiere like that without all of your help. So thank you to your whole team for that as well.
And
And
even
again, that's going to be at
beyond the
oh,
premiere, even, I mean, all of the help that the Conservancy has been to help us have a place to stay during the winter while we're up here filming, and just all the connections that we've made. Like, we couldn't have done this without the Conservancy. So thank you for being a part of it.
well, you're very kind. And again, we have the best team in the business, and I know that Amy's worked hard with the Wacholt Center, and you've worked with Gracie on lodging, and with Geneva on some artwork, in fact. And we'll get into a little bit of that tonight. The premiere is available. Tickets are available now, and we'll be putting some information in the chat about how you can, of course, after this hour together, go on and get tickets. Tickets are selling quickly, so I would recommend. I bought mine a couple of days ago. I would recommend getting on sooner rather than later. I think, Amy, you told me that there were 475 or so tickets already sold for that evening's event. So be sure not to miss that one. It's going to be very, very special. So Jordan and Logan, you and I, we know each other a little bit, but there are a lot of people who don't know kind of the origin story of you guys and your connection to the park, and then maybe also your connection then to how you decided some almost 3 years ago to start doing this film.
Yeah, do you want to do our start of our origin story, and I can talk about the idea for the film?
Yeah, so Jordan and I, we were born in Arlee, which is the southernmost town on the Flathead Indian Reservation here in Montana. And it's a very, very beautiful place if you've ever been down here. But we grew up in a valley where there wasn't a lot to do. I mean, we didn't even have sidewalks when we were growing up in Arlee. And we just kind of had to be creative with the fun that we had and stuff. And eventually, I think, how old were you? You
It's
were
like
in
10 years old.
10 years old. He got a skateboard for Christmas, and there you couldn't really ride it anywhere. You had to find like a little piece of blacktop somewhere, or in the basement at our parents' house. There was some concrete down there, and we saw him having a ton of fun with it. So then naturally, myself and our oldest brother, Shay, he wanted a skateboard too. So we all got skateboards, and eventually we saw what the pros were doing. They were filming all of their skateboarding tricks and stuff and putting it together into skateboarding films. And so then we got a camcorder from mom and dad. We borrowed theirs and broke a lot of them. But one thing kind of led to another, and we were making skateboarding films and then sports highlight films, and then here we are now, years later, making a full-length documentary on Going to Sun Road.
And I think growing up in a place like the Flathead Indian Reservation, it's just so beautiful, and there's so many neat places to see and visit and wildlife. We got the national or the CSKT bison range now. But we were always surrounded by that indigenous culture there. Our grandmother was a tribal member. And so once we figured out we could do this for a living, we kind of gravitated towards that landscape and wildlife part of filmmaking and photography. And I've been, this isn't my first Glacier Conversation. I did one with you a while ago on my photography in the park. And that was actually where this film started. So on that one, I think you announced the next one, which was going to be Brian Paul, road supervisor, and he was going to talk about the opening of
Right.
Golden Sun Road. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. I'm going to sign up for that. So I did, and I watched it. And as I sat through the conversation with Brian and watched this, my wheels were turning, and I was like, this could be a whole documentary. And so took it from there, and it was, started as an idea, and went after grant funding and got grants. And you all were a fiscal sponsor for one grant, and we appreciate your help there. And we just have worked with people in the park. Jenna Icenagel, who is retired, but she was very instrumental in helping us find key people to interview and talk to, and getting permitting in place to be able to tell this story.
Yeah, it's really exciting to kind of see all the connectivity. We were talking just before we launched the discussion tonight, and it really does take a village to do this, and we're so fortunate here to have such open and accessible people in the park. Right? You mentioned Jenna, also Jean Tabert, and other who is the museum and archives director. I think that's really something about Montana that is really a unique value that we have, that people often say Montana is a really small town with a really big street. And that feels right. And do you spend a lot of time in the park, which is, yes, not far from Arlee, but it's still 70 miles from Arlee. Does it feel like a second home to you guys?
Oh yeah. I'm up there so many times every summer. People think I live in the Flathead Valley, and I don't. And then when they figure out why I live 2.5 hours south of the park, but I'm always there, they're like, why don't you just move up here? Um, One, because we love our home in Arlee, and that's where our family is, and we're very close with them. And but two, it's like I don't mind the drive going up there, and it does feel like a second home to me. So I'm going from one home to another home. But we spend, I don't know, I think we spent last year 35, 40 days in the park, hiking, fishing, filming. So yeah, we love to get up there any chance we can.
And if you don't know the landscape well, and you're looking at Arlee on a map and you're saying, I'm not sure I really want to go there, you do. The St. Ignatius Valley, there are certain places that make my heart beat differently, and that is one of them for sure. It's a place not to miss in your lifetime. Also, not to miss in your lifetime is this film, and we are going to show a trailer. And if you think you've seen the trailer, you will be sorely mistaken, because this is a brand new, never before released trailer that you're going to get a chance to see thanks to these two tonight. So let's go back a little bit on the It Takes a Village discussion. And you talked a little bit about grants. I think there are a lot of people who say, hey, I've got a camera, I'm pretty good at this, I'm just going to make a movie. It's a little harder than that, isn't it?
It is, and I've done a few documentaries, but I've never produced and directed. Um, and so that was an experience for me to have to search out for grants and see where we can apply and which ones we're eligible for. Also with the park and getting, our film permitting and figuring out, what we can and can't do. And like one of the things we thought we might be able to do very early on in the discussions is film some of the plow crews. And then we figured out pretty early on that that was not going to happen. Huge safety risk. which was very surprising, seeing how much archival footage that we were given by Gene at Archives of somebody up there with their camera filming the snowplow stuff. But yeah, a lot of things that we had to navigate, and just for pre-production took so long. I think we were in pre-production for probably 6, 8 months
Yeah.
before we finally had our film permit in place, and it was in the fall of last year. And then we were able to just kind of go as much as we can and film everything that we could. But yeah, it took quite a bit of people and quite a few months to even before we started shooting.
I
Because
will
you
say
started this journey in
one,
what, 2023?
Um,
let me see where you is that when you first applied for the
that must have been when I was getting,
grant.
yeah, grants, and then um which was funny because we applied for the Big Sky Film Grant, which is they actually, give out hefty grants, and we didn't get it. And I remember being in Helena, and I got the call, and I was so bummed, and the film almost didn't happen. And then I remember it was like almost, I don't know, an act of God or something, that I got another phone call the next day from Greater Montana Foundation saying we got their smaller grant. And so it's like, okay, we didn't get the big one that we felt like we needed to kind of get this thing off the ground, but we have something and we can work with that. And so once that happened, it was like, okay, I guess we got to commit to this thing, and we'll just figure out how to fund it along the way.
Yeah, I will say one of the big challenges for us has been we run our own video production company as like just us two, and the amount of time that I've just taken on a lot of the client work stuff while my poor brother here has been filling out grant applications and sending emails like 6, 8 hours a day for the past, I don't know how many months. Like just the amount of work on the back end that he does just from the computer to get us in place to be able to film and meet these people and stuff is really remarkable.
Yeah, there's a lot of that needs to, a lot of have the things that happen in the back room, right? That it looks very glamorous on the screen, but there's a lot of things that happen in the back room. Are there anything about that that surprised you, or did you, from your other work, even though not as a producer director, did it pretty much roll out the way you thought it would?
I think so. I think um, I was familiar with grant processes and how they worked as far as funding a film. Um, but it was trying to attract, because the ones I've done prior were smaller. It's like you got one grant and you could fund your short film. But something like this that is going to be an hour 15, and a little bit more monumental. It felt like we needed more capital to help it work. And so it was a lot of deep diving and looking for grants that we could access, and even sponsors from organizations or local businesses. And so that part of it, trying to find who fits with the project and the vision, was something that was new to me. Yeah.
Another thing that was kind of a surprise to us was uh, thinking that once we got the film permit, we could just pretty much film wherever we wanted in the park. But there are still certain areas and certain buildings and stuff you can and can't film. So that was one thing where like had to get creative with certain things like where we were going to film certain
Mhm.
interviews and those sorts of things.
Well, and the fact that the road is very picturesque from above, but drone footage is not something that
Absolutely.
is allowable in the park, for wildlife considerations, which makes perfect sense once you think about it, but is also a barrier to some cinematography. We ran into that with Sperry, where it would have been helpful to be able to look at the site more closely, and that just wasn't possible over the winter because of those restrictions. So please use the chat, and we're going to curate a bunch of, we're going to transfer over to Amy here in just a minute and get to a bunch of great questions, which are already being populated in the chat. If you're just joining us, Logan and Jordan Lefler, the filmmakers of Journey to the Sun, are with us tonight to talk about their upcoming movie. I had the privilege of being able to be one of your interviews. I apologize. I'm hoping it's on the cutting room floor, but in any case, you know, you had a lot of those, and I know that those meant a lot to you, that people would share their time and their stories with you. Kind of talk to us about how that hit you emotionally, and some of those, you don't have to use people's names, but some of the stories that really took you either by surprise or were emotional to you.
Yeah, well, first of all, your interview was a gold mine. It's like everything that you said, I was like, because I'm also editing the film, I'm picking out your quotes while we're doing the interview, and I'm like, okay, that's good, that's good. This can go in this chapter, this chapter. And so you'll see yourself in the trailer here soon, Doug. You've got some great lines in there, but
I've been told I have a face for radio. So
we 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 were very surprised with some of the folks that we ended up interviewing, because Jenna, like I said, gave us a great start, and she said you interview these key people um, at the in the park employees, and then it seemed like every time we interviewed somebody, they said, "Oh, you should talk to this person," like Ray Duff, who has the incredible books on the jammers, and so we interviewed him, and he told us to interview Bill Dakin, who was a wealth of knowledge, and I think his interview was 3 hours, and he had some amazing stories to tell as a avalanche spotter and working on the road crew. And then he told us to interview Ray Marie Foley, and so we got the privilege of interviewing her, and she's in her 90s, and she's still smart as a tack, sharp as a tack, and she shared with us some great stories of growing up on the road at road camp, and being like one of the only people who, you know, got to do that as a child. And so we kind of have this mix of park employees and then people who are also very passionate and love the park as much as we do. And that was really cool for us to be able to capture that passion, because I think we can both relate to that. And to have people who, you know, volunteer and want to be a part of that is makes us feel really good. Like it's a true team effort.
And then just to go off of what George said, I think being able to get everybody's stories together, the common theme is just how magical and like the feeling that it leaves in every single person that drives the road and enters the park. And I remember going through my first time, I think it took me a while to get there. I think I was like later into my teenage years, but I remember driving, just going past the loop and getting a little closer to like the Weeping Wall and just looking out the window and thinking, this place exists. Like this is real, and it's like a couple hours from my house. Like how have I not been up here before? So ever since then, it just seemed like it's kind of turned into our second home. And yeah, really just like I said, a really magical place with that leaves you with a magical feeling, and that's kind of something I think we can all share.
no, it's really cool, and you guys impacted me too. I got to talking about it, and it's an emotional place for me. It's the first place my now wife of 43 years took me when I was there, and I after I interviewed with you guys, I went back and I knew that I had a photograph of that day, and I found it.
Did you find it?
And
Okay.
yeah, I found it. I'll show it to you. And again, it's that kind of as you say, that emotional connectivity. I know people are going to get this from the movie, and I just have this feeling that this is going to be bigger than you think it possibly can be, which is really cool. Amy, I see we've got tons of questions in the chat. And so I'm going to hand it off to you and step aside for a minute and let you have at it with some great questions from our great group tonight.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, thank you everybody for showing up and populating the chat with such great questions. And Logan and Jordan, I feel like you could talk about this for a while because it is the number one question that I get too. I've helped put together the first screening, and what everybody wants to know is what's going to happen after the first screening. So what do you guys know? And will it, I know this is a kind of an evolving process. Like I'm sure you hope to show it widely, but yeah, everybody wants to know if they can't make it to Kalispell, what are their options?
Yeah, we're already in talks and we've got contracts signed with a couple of venues. We'd like to do a little film tour around Western Montana. So we've got something lined up with the Roxy in Missoula for July. September, we're going to show it in the Phillipsburg Theater. And if you haven't been to the Phillipsburg Theater, it will blow your mind. It's
Awesome.
not the oldest theater in the state, but it is the oldest operating one. And it's such a beautiful venue, and that's where I got my chops working on documentaries was in Phillipsburg with one of my mentors, and so that place is very special to me. But then outside of that, we're also looking at Bozeman in October, and we're going to partner with Oboe's Footwear there. And then we're also in talks with Wild Montana to do another showing either in Helena or Great Falls somewhere late summer, early fall. So we're putting some things together, and we'll have some more showings, and also once once we kind of get it out there in the public, we'll also have it available for streaming somewhere, whether it gets picked up by some streaming service or if we, host it on a our own streaming service. But yeah, we've got big plans. I didn't think we would be here, and just like feeling the community support and the ticket sales and everything like that, it feels like okay, we can make this thing bigger than we initially thought, a couple years ago when we had started this.
And it sounds like the Kalispell, the world premiere for June 23rd, seems like it's going to be selling out sooner rather than later. So, and that's one that we really are going to turn that one into a more of an experience rather than just show up and watch a film and go home. So we're going to have some of our friends in the band Saint of Soldiers who we grew up with in Arlee. They are an incredible bluegrass band. They're going to come and play a live set, and you will hear one of the songs that is that we used to score the film in their set afterwards. So that's going to be amazing. And we're gonna have an artist come and do a live painting for us in the lobby, and have one of our friends from our league come and I think is Sean gonna be there?
Yeah, he's another friend who's a indigenous artist who does indigenous flute and hand drumming, and so he's going to provide some soundtracking for the film. And I guess that's another layer of the film that we need to talk about is that uh, we're from the reservation. Our grandmother was a tribal member, and so we feel like um, we need to honor the people who were here before there were park boundaries. And so we've interviewed Blackfeet tribal members, also Salish and Kootenai, and so we'll have a chapter on them and why the park is sacred to them. And so Sean is a friend who's provided soundtracking for that. And so like Logan said, it's just like so many people have contributed to making this film, and we want them all to be recognized, and we'd like this premiere to be more of an experience than just show up and watch a movie and go home.
But that was kind of also the long way around of saying, I want to come back to Kalispell. We want to come back to Kalispell and do another showing because it sounds like the first one is going to sell out sooner rather than later. So hopefully maybe in the fall we can be back in Kalispell.
What about, only because I've been asked this a lot, how do the film festivals work? So everybody's throwing in their favorite film festival. Like, what about Banff? What about um, uh, all the other? I got one in San Luis Obispo. So do you
Yeah.
apply for those, or how does that work?
I wanted so bad to get into the Big Sky Film Festival, and unfortunately their festival run is outside of their release window for the film. And the bummer with a lot of those prestigious film festivals is that they want films that haven't been shown anywhere yet. And so maybe they would make an exception for us being local filmmakers. But there are a lot of film festivals where you can submit and it doesn't have to be the world premiere. And so we're definitely going to look at that. And we've entered a few for other short films. I did one on Phillipsburg that won an award in like Abu Dhabi or something for best civic story. And so yeah, definitely going to do the film festival route and see how far this story can go.
Amy, it looks
Well,
like we might have to get these guys a printout of the chat because there's all manner of great ideas from very well-connected people who can help you.
We'll take it.
So-
All
Yeah,
right,
we'll
we'll
take
take
it,
it.
please.
we'll get you the chat for sure. So if you don't
Okay.
see your comment acknowledged or your question asked, if we run out of time, I will tell you that we'll get the chat
When our
to
friend
Jordan.
when our friend Janet Brandt says, make sure you apply to this film festival, that's a good thing. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
yeah,
good.
that's awesome.
And selfishly, we're really happy that we have the world premiere in Kalispell. So I'm a big fan of the Big Sky Film Festival too. But we're pretty excited about June. I can't believe we have to wait till June at this point. It feels like it should happen tomorrow. Maybe not on your guys' end. You might still
No,
have some
not
stuff.
on mine.
We're
Not
like,
yet.
we're like, please give us more time to fine tune this and put it together.
Yeah.
But we are also just so excited to share this with the public, and especially Montana, it just feels like one big community. So it all just feels like it's a community thing.
Mhm.
So I feel like I can ask a couple more questions, and then maybe we need to show the trailer since we sort of
Okay.
teased that out a bit.
Yeah.
And just to know, we've got a little jammer reunion going on. Kirk Wallace is here. He was a jammer and also an extra in the film.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That
And
was
then
very-
FJ Miller is here, and he was a jammer in 1977 on bus number 100. So
Oh, wow.
everybody's connecting over over the jammers.
Very cool.
So Lisa is asking, how many hours of footage did you have to work with to make this one documentary? Do you know?
That number keeps growing. We just finished probably close to our last interview, but we're still going to be shooting some B-roll in the later this winter and in the spring and stuff. But I don't know. What do you think at this point?
I think we've got 25 interviews so far, and I would say they're average an hour, with 3 different camera angles. So like even then you're at, 3 hours per interview times 25 or 75. And like I said, Bill Bacon was a 3-hour interview. So that's 12 hours just of Bill with the 4 camera setup we had. And so I would imagine we're at, a couple hundred hours of footage.
Not to mention all the awesome footage that Gene at Archives has delivered us.
Yes.
That
Yeah.
has really just kind of saved the day on all of the the plowing and the avalanches and that sort of stuff, because we couldn't film any of that. So we were like, how are we going to show this?
Right.
And luckily, Gene has just been a rock star and given us this incredible footage that I have no idea how many people have seen it, but I'm guessing the number is very small, and there's no way for, I think, the public to like get their hands on this stuff. So if you want to see this awesome footage, you'll have to come watch our documentary.
There you go.
Yeah.
We love the archives at the Conservancy.
Oh, yeah.
Sure, it is just a wealth of information. So I'm glad that you all got hooked up with Gene. Kathy, you may have mentioned this, but is this your first full-length documentary film?
Directing it is, yes, but I've filmed and edited probably 5 before this. And then Logan has helped me shoot some of those as well. But this is like just Logan and I, writing, editing, shooting, directing. And so it feels cool to be able to do that. My first, feature length, to do it with my brother.
Yeah, what a cool story. Okay, so I think this might be a good chance for me to look at the chat, and maybe we can cut. Andrew and Gracie are going to help us, I think, cut to the trailer. Anything you want to say to introduce that, or should we just go?
I don't know. We're really excited about this trailer. It's the first time any of the interview footage will be seen. The original trailer that I know everybody has seen on the website was Logan and I talking mixed with the B-roll that we had already shot, but we made that very early on into the film, and so it's going to be cool to see some of these stories come to life with interview footage. And like Logan mentioned, the amazing archival footage that Gene has been able to get us. I think I've been working on this trailer started like a couple months ago, and it feels like every time I feel like I'm done, Gene says, "Hey, I got some more footage for you," and I'm like, "Oh, this is better than the last," and so I have to include it. And so I feel like this is just every time made better from the contributions from the museums and archives. So we're excited for people to watch it.
Mother Nature really opens the road and we merely assist. We can't open the road until the avalanche chutes have all come down. They're a danger that we battle every day.
The weather affects visibility for us.
Your job is to never take your eyes off what's above the road.
The original intent of the road was to make accessible the heart of the park.
Prior to the road, you had to walk there yourself.
When the Great Depression hit, Dad got this letter that said, hey, we're rounding up people to go and work on this project.
The teams who were constructing the road were having to use ropes and find this route across the cliff face.
These guys who are drilling and blasting had to wear layers of wool socks over their steel boots in order to avoid any chance of sparks.
They got paid $30 a month.
There was a 300% turnover rate.
I thought, you gotta be crazy.
The people who built this road were certainly some of the bravest people that have ever come to the area. To be able to open it, we have brave men and women who make sure that happens every year.
It is extremely important to us, and we have to manage it and care for it very, very carefully.
There's real power and magic to be able to get up to the Continental Divide and breathe in that air of one of America's greatest natural treasures.
That's incredible. That's wow. I can't wait. And that archival footage is really special. I've seen snippets of it, but we're really privileged, thanks to donors, to be able to play a small role in that. Gene Tabert, who is the director of the Archives Museum at the park, came to us some years ago, just before the pandemic, and had discovered, you guys are too young for this, but back when some of us were in school, you had movie day and you had those big metal canisters and you fed the film. Well, she had some of those that, you couldn't dare put in a projector now, they just light on fire. But there was a way to digitize them, but the park didn't have a budget for that. So that's our role at the Conservancy. They come to us and say, we've got this great thing. It could really advantage us in this way, in sharing the wonder of Glacier National Park with people. And so we were able to, through the generosity of donors, raise the money and pay for that grant. And I think some of the pieces that are in this movie likely came from the result of that. So it's really special for me to be able to see that. So that's really cool. So my coworker Sydney is in charge of our giveaway tonight. Lefler Brothers, will you show the swag from your? These guys have their own online store for the movie, and they have generously giving us a T-shirt, giving out a T-shirt and some stickers. So that's super exciting.
This is actually, some of these shirts are actually, the art is made by somebody from the Flathead Valley.
That's awesome. That's really fun.
And this is one of yours. This is from Geneva at the Conservancy.
Yeah.
And we'll
Geneva
have
Thompson,
stickers.
another one of my amazing coworkers. And so we're gonna, Sydney, we got stickers and swag. Do we have a winner?
Yeah, so we've got two different winners for the Journey to the Sun merch. The first one is going to be Kelly Morris. So Kelly Morris, if you're on here, you've won. And then also Kirk Wallace is the second one for that. So you guys can email info@glacier.org in order to figure out how to receive those prizes.
Awesome. And then do we have some separate GNPC Going to the Sun Road swag? I think a hat and some stickers.
Yes, so from us at the Conservancy, Marie Hadley, you have won a Going to the Sun Road hat and stickers.
Awesome. Great. Thank you, Sydney. That's wonderful. And thanks you guys for donating that to the cause. And I think we're going to put your online store URL in the chat if you want to get some swag. So you can show up on the 23rd of June at the Wacholtz Center with your gear on. That's awesome. Amy Lucky, I think we've got probably some more questions in the chat. You know me, I can go on forever, but I noticed that we've got some really great questions in there.
Well, first off, I wanted to recognize a guy named Doug Lefler who's on the call, and he wanted to give a shout out. He thought that Logan and Jordan's parents did a pretty awesome job of raising them, and I have to agree. And I'm guessing perhaps Doug is your dad. Is that true?
Yes. And our basement to this day is still unfinished. There's no rooms or bathrooms built like we thought there was going to be, but it was all because our parents let us put a skate park down there and film ourselves, and we owe them everything for allowing us to be creative as kids and find this path as filmmakers, and they supported us every step of the way. So thank you, Dad. We love you.
Yeah. Also, we're indebted to Mom and Dad with all the camcorders that we broke through the years.
I'm kind of wondering if some of that skateboard footage still exists.
Oh, it does. We've got hours upon hours of that footage.
So getting back to the chat, there's some folks that want to know what was the most memorable or lucky or just moment that you think about during filming, or maybe an interview. What sticks out to you guys?
I think for me, and I can only speak for myself for this one, because last year on my brother's birthday, I was in Missoula and we had just gotten done celebrating his birthday. I got an alert that the Northern Lights were going to be at like a KP8, which is insanely strong storm, and so I asked him if he'd be all right if I went up to Glacier that night, and he was like, "Yeah, of course, I'm gonna stay here with my wife, but you do your thing." And so I drove up that night, got to the park at 11, and I was awake until probably 6 in the morning, just driving around. I went all the way up to Logan Pass and shot time lapses there, went all the way to Many Glacier and came back, and it was just like one of the most thrilling nights of my life. And so everybody will get to see some of that amazing footage in the documentary. But for me, that was one of those nights that just reminds you why Glacier is so special, and that's probably my favorite memory working on this project.
Yeah, and for me, first of all, I knew that was going to be his, and I wasn't there, and it was on my birthday. But for me, I think one of the coolest things has been going up to Logan Pass for a media day in May. And riding up there on the shuttle bus and actually being up at the top of Logan Pass, seeing what the conditions are up there compared to what they are down in the valley, and it's just night and day the difference. And it just is mind-blowing how little I think the public really knows about what happens up there and what it takes to clear the road. But beyond that, just I mean, the whole process has just been one of the, I mean, just so many of the best memories of my life, being able to spend so much time up there with my brother and work on such a big project together. It's really special. And I'm very lucky to have a wonderful, loving wife who is totally cool with me leaving for days and days at a time to go run around in Glacier with my brother.
That is a loving and caring wife. And Jordan, I remember when you posted pictures from your day in Glacier under the Northern Lights, and they were magical.
Yes.
And Logan, let's hope that the conditions are super different up at Logan Pass right now than they are down here. For those of you who are not in Montana, we have no snow in Columbia Falls, Big Fork, the Flathead Valley. So we're hoping the mountains have all of it and keep getting it.
Definitely.
So Brent asked sort of a similar question, but anything that surprised either of you in particular as you filmed the road? Something you learned, pictures you saw, animal encounters? Did you sort of have this deeper personal connection after spending so much time out there?
Yeah, the connection definitely deepened. I think one of the favorite things found out through the interviewing, I think Bill Dakin, was that there was actually multiple routes planned. The one we have now was not the original idea, and the other ones were probably far worse. So we kind of lucked out as a community to have the one that we have, and so we'll get into that story in the film. But I think that's probably my favorite little tidbit of info that we learned about the road.
Yeah, one of the coolest things that I learned was the wooden guardrails that go up after the road is cleared of all the snow and then all the debris and the rocks and stuff. Then they put up those wooden guardrails, and each one has how many bolts is it?
It was like 12 or something like that, and
Something like that. And there's several hundred of these.
yeah, there's a
these
few hundred of them. Yeah.
wooden guardrails, and I think they said it takes like a couple weeks just to put those up once the road is cleared. So it's like that's another thing that it's a safety measure that people don't understand that has to happen for them to be able to open the road to the public. But the fact that it takes 2 weeks just to put those up was just like mind blowing to me.
It's definitely a process.
Yeah.
So a couple of questions about just filmmaking, but TJ asks, did you film an interview randomly and then sort of sequence and splice it all into a narrative? Or did you create sort of a screenplay, like a specific outline first, and then film an interview to tell that sort of predetermined tale?
Mm-hmm. We have an outline for the film, and we did separate it into chapters, even though when you watch it, it won't, fade to black and then have a chapter title come up. But we did that to help us kind of break up the story in our minds of how the flow of the film is going to go. And so we knew which folks we were interviewing will go into which chapters and which topics they will cover. And so we kind of used that to guide the questions that we asked them, and to try and get answers to tell their part of the story in that chapter of the film.
And as time went on, the more interviews you do and the more information you learn and stuff, the more the story kind of evolves. Like it doesn't take the exact path that you thought it was going to at the beginning. Not that it's a completely different story, but there's just so much that you learn along the way that you have to weave into the story in one way or another to actually do the story of going to the Sun Road justice.
Super interesting. And then How long is the film, or what are you shooting for? I guess if we're not quite there yet.
Yeah, it's a two-part answer because we would like this film to eventually go onto Montana PBS. They have a restriction of 58 minutes. So we will have to create a condensed version, but we feel like the story is so awesome and you could keep people entertained for, an hour 20 or an hour 15. So we're hoping that the premiere version is a little longer, call it a director's cut if you want. But then we'll definitely have to create a shorter version for Montana PBS if they pick it up.
Okay, I'm gonna ask one more, and then Doug, maybe I'll throw it back your way for speed round or any other questions. I think we have a couple more in the chat, but you can always throw it back to me as well. Um, so let's see. I just saw a really great question. I don't remember who asked it, but essentially, with the two of you working on this, what sort of different perspectives do each of you bring, and how do you think that sort of adds to the film? Is there any brother fighting over like, hey, I want to include this and the other person doesn't?
No, we are very blessed. We grew up in a very loving household. You see our dad loved to film us home videos. And you watch these home videos back and you always hear our dad saying, "Do you love your brother? Tell your brother you love him." And so we grew up as best friends and we hike, we fish, we work together, and we rarely ever, have a moment of a argument or anything like that. But we definitely bring different perspectives to filmmaking. There's a lot of times, I think I got some really cool shot, and I look at what Logan shot, and I'm like, how did I not think of that? Like his what he filmed way better than what I got.
But then I think the same thing about what he shot.
But I think just having that really helps us capture everything, with two different perspectives and make sure we can tell a story and it's not just, one person, getting tunnel vision and making it, think it should be this way, but Logan can, gently guide me into saying maybe we should do this or maybe we should do that. And I think I could do the same to him, and neither one of us would have any problems with it.
Yeah, we communicate well, and I think we both are willing to compromise for the greater good of the story, and also willing to just do whatever it takes to work together as a team to make this as great as we can.
That's awesome. You guys are incredible. So this is a little bit dangerous because I should have asked this before we started. You guys have a paper and pencil handy?
I can grab
Yes, I do, right here.
Okay. Okay, so since he's getting the paper and pencil, this is gonna be the newlywed game. We usually do a speed round. But I want to find out exactly how well you know your brother. Okay. So I'm gonna ask a question. Jordan's gonna write down what he thinks Logan's answer. Who's got the pen?
Logan's both do. You want one of us to go?
We're gonna start with you. Okay, so Jordan, you're gonna write down the answer to this question, not show it to Logan. And then Logan, you're gonna answer the question.
Okay.
Jordan, what's Logan's favorite sandwich? Okay, you gotta write something down.
It's a good one.
I also have a pen and paper. Should I be doing the same one?
You're gonna be next. You're next. I'm coming for you.
Okay.
I feel like I cheated a little bit, and
that's okay. We're gonna find out. Maybe you didn't.
Okay.
Okay. Logan, what's your favorite sandwich?
I like I don't know how specific we want to get, but my favorite sandwich lately is the Zeppelin from Tagliere. So I said Tagliere, but I can't remember the name of the sandwich because they're all names of bands from like the 70s and 80s. And I couldn't remember the name. I mean, that's
Okay,
as close
so
as you
so this time, Logan, you're writing down the answer to this question.
Okay.
What is Jordan's favorite beverage?
Favorite beverage?
That can be anything. Can be anything. So you got your answer?
Yep.
Okay, Jordan, what's your favorite beverage?
Zions energy drink.
Oh,
yes, you guys are good. Okay, well, you
it's
would have
not
won.
focusing.
After we're done, you'll have to look up the Newlywed Game because it's
Yeah.
not something with which you'll be familiar. But thank you for playing our game. It's fun to be able to be at my advanced years. I'm just turned 65 last year. I'll be 66 this year. To be able to see this new generation of people who care for the park the way that Julie and I did when we were your guys' age. So to know that this place that's so special to me is going to have advocates and advocacy for long into the future is really, really cool. So thank you for buying into that. I think that national parks are, in fact, America's best idea. They do show us at our best. I think this is a time in our world where showing ourselves at our best is really important. And the timing of this celebratory premiere, I think, is really just really outstanding. So thank you for all of that. And thank you for being such great friends to the Conservancy and great supporters in every way. June 23rd, not July, June 23rd. Wacholtz Center. Tickets are available now, and we have put some information in the chat for you. Jordan and Logan, any last words for us before we sign off?
We couldn't do what we're doing now without all of your help, and so, like you said, you and Julie laid the groundwork for a lot of this, and we are very proud to partner with you on a number of things throughout the years, but especially this one. And we thank you and Amy and Julie and Geneva and everybody else for all the help that your team has done to help this project.
Well, we stand on the shoulders of giants when we do this kind of work, and it's really again a privilege to do it. And thank you to all of the people who came together tonight. We'll look forward to seeing, I hope, a lot of you on the 23rd of June, and the rest of you. I'm gonna work with some magic in Helena, you guys, and we can we'll get some things done. So again, thanks everybody for your caring for this very special place. We told the park just this week that we were able to fund $4.8 million worth of projects through private donations. Wow. That's a change maker, you guys. That's 25% of the park's operating budget, and that would not happen without each and every one of you. So thank you for your time tonight. Thank you for the privilege of being in community with each other, and we'll look forward to seeing you on a trail near you, or perhaps on the 23rd of June at the Wacholtz Center. Thanks, everybody. Have a great night.
Thanks, Doug.
Thank you.